Princess Zara stood on the balcony of her crystal palace and looked at the stars. She was beautiful in ways that made men from 100 worlds travel across space just to see her. Her skin was pale blue like winter ice, and her eyes glowed with soft, silver light. When she moved, her long white hair floated around her like she was underwater. But Princess Zara was tired. For 200 years, she had met males from every corner of the galaxy. They came with gifts of gold and jewels. They brought armies and fleets to show their power. Some were kings and emperors from their own worlds. All of them wanted to marry her, and she had said no to every single one. The problem was simple. Princess Zara could read minds. All her people could do this. When someone stood in front of her, she could see their thoughts like reading a book. She knew what they wanted before they spoke. She knew their fears, their lies, and their real reasons for coming to her world. Every male who came to court her thought the same things. They wanted her beauty. They wanted her father's empire. They wanted the power that came with being married to a princess. Some dreamed of controlling her telepathic abilities. Others just wanted to say they had won the most famous princess in the galaxy. None of them wanted her. Tonight was different. Tonight, humans were coming to her world for the first time. Princess Zara had heard strange stories about these creatures. They came from a small blue planet at the edge of the galaxy. They had no telepathic powers. They couldn't read minds or speak without words. Some people said they were primitive. Others said they were dangerous. "Princess," said a voice behind her. She turned to see Lord Commander Thexan, her father's most trusted advisor. He was tall and thin, with the same blue skin as her people. His mind was always calm and organized like a well-kept library. "The humans have arrived," he said. "Your father wishes you to attend the greeting ceremony." Princess Zara nodded. She had to go. It was her duty as a princess to meet with all, visitors to their world. But she already knew how this would end. She would look into the human leader's mind, see the same greedy thoughts as all the others, and send them away. The throne room was filled with light from 1,000 crystals. Her father, Emperor Kethvar, sat on his throne made of pure white stone. He was ancient, even by their people's standards, and his mind held the wisdom of 10,000 years. Around the room stood the nobles of their court, all dressed in flowing robes that changed color like rainbows. The humans entered the room, and Princess Zara was surprised. They looked so ordinary. They had tan and brown skin instead of blue. Their hair was dark and didn't float. They wore simple uniforms instead of royal robes. They walked with heavy steps instead of gliding. The human leader stepped forward. He was tall, but not giant. His face was serious, but not cruel. His dark hair was cut short, and his brown eyes looked directly at her father without fear. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth ship New Horizon," he said. His voice was deep and steady. "I bring greetings from the United Earth Government and hopes for friendship between our peoples." Princess Zara almost laughed. This simple creature thought he could impress her father with such plain words. She reached out with her mind to read his thoughts, expecting to find the usual mix of greed and lust. Nothing. She tried again, pushing harder with her telepathic power. Still nothing. It was like trying to read a blank wall. Where his thoughts should be, there was only silence. For the first time in 200 years, Princess Zara felt surprised. The captain continued talking with her father about trade and friendship between their worlds. He spoke about sharing knowledge and protecting smaller planets from pirates. His words were simple and honest, but Princess Zara wasn't listening to his words anymore. She was trying to understand how his mind could be closed to her. Behind Captain Morrison stood two other humans. One was a woman with short red hair and sharp eyes. The other was a man with a beard who kept looking around the room with wonder. Princess Zara tried to read their minds, too. The woman's thoughts came through clearly. She was thinking about weapons and defenses, watching for danger. Her name was Amy Collins, and she was a soldier. The bearded man was easier to read. His name was Ben Parker, and he was a scientist. His mind was full of excitement about meeting her people, but the captain remained a mystery. "Princess Zara," her father said, pulling her attention back to the ceremony, "please welcome our guests." She stood and walked toward the humans. As she got closer, Captain Morrison turned to look at her. His brown eyes met her silver ones, and she felt something strange. Without being able to read his thoughts, she couldn't tell what he was thinking about her. She couldn't see desire or fear or ambition. She could only see his face, which showed nothing but polite respect. "Princess," he said, bowing slightly, "it's an honor to meet you." She waited for him to say more. Every other male who met her had more to say. They told her she was beautiful. They asked about her powers. They tried to impress her with their own achievements. Captain Morrison just waited. "Welcome to Nethys," she finally said. Her voice sounded strange to her own ears. Without telepathy to guide her, she wasn't sure how to talk to him. "Thank you," he said. "Your world is beautiful." That was all. He didn't ask her about marriage. He didn't try to get closer to her. He didn't even seem particularly interested in her. After a moment, he turned back to continue his conversation with her father. Princess Zara stood there, feeling confused. In 200 years, no male had ever ignored her like this. They all wanted something from her, but this human seemed to want nothing at all. Later that night, she stood on her balcony again, looking at the stars. But now she wasn't thinking about the galaxy. She was thinking about brown eyes and a mind she couldn't read. For the first time in her long life, Princess Zara was curious about someone, and she didn't know what to do about it. The human ship sat in the spaceport below her palace, its metal hull reflecting the light of her world's 3 moons. Inside that ship was a mystery she couldn't solve with her telepathic powers. Princess Zara decided she would have to solve it another way. The next morning, Princess Zara did something she had never done before. She asked to learn about human customs. She told her father and Lord Commander Thexan that understanding these strange aliens was important for their empire's future. This was not entirely true. The real reason was that she couldn't stop thinking about Captain Jake Morrison and his silent mind. "Very well," her father said during the morning council meeting. "You may study their ways. But remember, they are primitive creatures. Do not let them influence you too much." Princess Zara agreed, but inside she felt excited in a way she hadn't felt for decades. She found Captain Morrison in the palace gardens with Dr. Ben Parker. The human scientist was examining the crystal flowers that grew there, making notes on a small device. Captain Morrison stood nearby watching the sky where their ship orbited the planet. "Captain Morrison," she called as she approached. Both humans turned. Dr. Parker's mind immediately filled with nervous thoughts about proper protocol for talking to alien royalty. But Captain Morrison's mind remained perfectly silent. "Princess," Jake said, nodding respectfully, "how can we help you?" "I wish to learn about human diplomatic customs," she said. "Perhaps you could teach me about your people's ways." Dr. Parker looked surprised, but Captain Morrison just nodded. "Of course. What would you like to know?" This simple question confused her. Usually, when someone offered to teach her something, she could read their mind to see what they really wanted to tell her. With Captain Morrison, she had to actually listen to his words. "How do humans make agreements without telepathy?" she asked. "We talk," Jake said. "We ask questions. We watch body language. Sometimes we write things down to make sure we understand each other." "But how do you know if someone is lying?" Jake smiled slightly. "We don't always know. Sometimes people lie to us, and we find out later. Sometimes we have to trust them and hope they're honest." This idea shocked Princess Zara. Her people never had to worry about lies because they could read the truth directly from someone's mind. "Doesn't that make you afraid?" "Sometimes," Jake admitted. "But it also makes life more interesting. When you can't read someone's mind, you have to really get to know them to understand them." Over the next few days, Princess Zara spent more and more time with the humans. She told everyone it was for diplomatic research, but really, she was fascinated by how they lived without telepathy. She watched Jake work with his crew. Lieutenant Amy Collins, the red-haired soldier, was always alert and ready for danger. Her thoughts were sharp and focused like a sword. Dr. Ben Parker was curious about everything, his mind full of questions and theories about her people's technology. But Jake was different. Even when she couldn't read his mind, she could see that he cared about his crew. When Dr. Parker worked too long without eating, Jake brought him food. When Lieutenant Collins seemed worried about something, Jake talked to her privately to make sure she was okay. "Why do you take care of them?" Princess Zara asked him one day. "They're my responsibility," Jake said. "A good leader takes care of his people." "But what do you gain from this?" Jake looked puzzled. "I don't gain anything. It's just the right thing to do." This confused Princess Zara even more. In her world, everything was about gaining power or status. Even acts of kindness usually had hidden motives that she could read in people's minds. But Jake seemed to do good things simply because they were good. One afternoon, disaster struck. A group of young Veltharian children were playing near the palace's power core when an old crystal machine broke down. Dangerous energy began leaking out, and the children were trapped in the chamber. The palace guards hesitated because the energy could kill anyone who went into the room. Lord Commander Thexon was calling for special equipment that would take time to arrive. But Jake didn't hesitate. He grabbed a radiation suit from the palace's emergency supplies and ran into the dangerous chamber. Princess Zara watched through the crystal walls as he picked up each child and carried them to safety. The energy was so strong that it made his suit spark and smoke. When the last child was safe, Jake collapsed. Dr. Parker rushed to check him while Princess Zara knelt beside them. "Is he going to be okay?" she asked. "He'll live," Dr. Parker said. "But he absorbed a lot of radiation. On our world, we'd say he was very brave and very stupid." Princess Zara looked down at Jake's unconscious face. She tried again to read his mind, hoping the energy exposure might have weakened whatever protected his thoughts. Still nothing. But she didn't need telepathy to understand what had happened. Jake had risked his life for children he barely knew, from a species he had just met. He gained nothing from saving them except the knowledge that they were safe. That night, Princess Zara sat by Jake's bedside in the palace medical wing. When he woke up, she was there. "How are the children?" were his first words. "They're fine," she said. "Thanks to you." Jake nodded and tried to sit up. Princess Zara helped him, and for a moment their hands touched. Without telepathy, this simple contact felt strange and electric. "Why did you save them?" she asked. "They needed help," Jake said, as if this explained everything. "But they're not your people. You don't even know them." Jake looked at her with those brown eyes that she couldn't read. "Princess, where I come from, children are everyone's responsibility. It doesn't matter what species they are." As Princess Zara walked back to her chambers that night, she realized something that frightened her. For 200 years she had rejected every male who came to court her because she could see their selfish thoughts. But here was a man whose thoughts she couldn't see, and his actions proved he was the most selfless person she had ever met. For the first time in her life, Princess Zara was starting to understand what humans called attraction, and she had no idea what to do about it. Dr. Parker had been studying her people's biology during their visit. That night, he made a discovery that worried him. When he scanned Princess Zara with his medical equipment, he found something strange in her brain chemistry. The parts of her mind that controlled emotion were more active than normal. Her brain was producing chemicals associated with excitement and obsession. It reminded him of addiction patterns he had seen in humans. Dr. Parker realized that Jake's mental immunity might be causing an unexpected reaction in the telepathic princess. Without the ability to read his mind, her brain was working overtime trying to figure him out. This was creating a chemical response that could become dangerous, but he wasn't sure how to explain this to Jake without causing a diplomatic incident. For now, he decided to watch and wait, hoping that the princess's interest in their captain would fade naturally. He had no way of knowing that Princess Zara's fascination with Jake was only beginning. Princess Zara began spending every day with the humans. She told her father's court that she was conducting important research into human culture, but Lord Commander Thexan was becoming suspicious. "The princess spends too much time with these aliens," he told Emperor Kethvar during a private meeting. "Her behavior is unusual." The Emperor nodded thoughtfully. "Zara has always been curious about other species, but I admit this seems different." It was different. Princess Zara was becoming obsessed with Jake Morrison in ways that frightened her. Every morning she woke up thinking about him. Every night she fell asleep, wondering what thoughts were hidden behind his silent mind. She started learning the human language, not just the basic words they used for diplomacy, but complex phrases and expressions. She wanted to understand every small thing Jake said. She studied human history and culture, reading about Earth's wars and peace treaties, their art and music. "You're learning our language very quickly," Jake said during one of their daily meetings. "Your people are fascinating," Princess Zara replied. This was true, but not the whole truth. She found humans interesting because Jake was human. She began making excuses to touch him. She would guide him through the palace by placing her hand on his arm. She would stand close to him when they looked at artifacts in the museum. Each time, their skin touched. She felt that strange electric feeling that she couldn't read or understand. Jake, being human, didn't realize what was happening. He treated her with the same polite respect he showed all foreign dignitaries. He answered her questions about human customs and told her stories about Earth. But he kept proper distance between them, both physical and emotional. This only made Princess Zara more desperate to understand him. One day she decided to test him. She wore her most beautiful dress, one made of crystals that sparkled like stars. She arranged her hair in the style that made other males stare with desire. She even used perfume that was designed to attract males of various species. When Jake saw her, he said, "You look very nice today, princess." That was all. No staring, no increased heartbeat that she might detect with her enhanced senses. No stumbling over words like other males did when they saw her in formal dress. Princess Zara felt a strange mixture of frustration and excitement. Jake's indifference to her beauty was unlike anything she had experienced. It made her want to try harder to impress him. She began offering him gifts. First, small things like rare crystals from her world's core. Then larger things like access to restricted areas of the palace. She showed him technology that was forbidden to outsiders. She gave him rare books written in languages that few beings in the galaxy could read. Jake accepted these gifts politely, but without excitement. "Thank you, Princess. These will be valuable for our diplomatic report." He treated everything as part of their official cultural exchange. He didn't seem to understand that she was trying to win his attention and favor. Lieutenant Amy Collins was starting to notice the princess's behavior. During a private meeting with Jake and Dr. Parker, she expressed her concerns. "Captain, I think the princess has developed feelings for you," Amy said. Jake looked surprised. "What makes you think that?" "The way she looks at you, the gifts, the amount of time she spends with us. And I've noticed she only asks for these meetings when you're available." Dr. Parker nodded. "Amy's right, and there's something else. My medical scans show that the princess's brain chemistry has changed since we arrived. She's showing signs of what humans would call obsessive behavior." Jake frowned. "Are you saying I've somehow harmed her?" "Not intentionally," Dr. Parker said. "But I think your immunity to telepathy is causing an unexpected reaction in her mind. She's not used to being unable to read someone's thoughts. It's creating a kind of addiction in her brain." This worried Jake. He had come here to build friendship between their species, not to cause problems for their princess. The next day, Jake tried to maintain more distance from Princess Zara. When she asked for their usual meeting, he said he was busy with ship maintenance. When she offered to show him more of the palace, he politely declined. Princess Zara noticed the change immediately. For the first time in days, Jake seemed to be avoiding her. This made her panic in ways she didn't understand. That evening, she came to the human quarters unannounced. The palace guards let her pass because she was the princess, but Amy Collins stepped forward to block her way. "I need to speak with Captain Morrison," Princess Zara said. "The captain is resting," Amy replied. "Perhaps you could schedule a meeting for tomorrow." Princess Zara's eyes flashed with anger. In her own mind, she heard a voice that sounded like her own, but felt foreign. How dare this inferior creature block my way? The thought shocked her. She had never thought of any being as inferior before. Her people believed all intelligent life had value. But something about being denied access to Jake made her feel desperate and angry. "Stand aside," she commanded, using her royal authority. Amy Collins was a soldier, trained to follow orders from superior officers. But she was also trained to protect her captain from potential threats. She didn't move. "Princess, with respect. Captain Morrison needs rest. He's still recovering from the radiation exposure." Princess Zara felt her control slipping. For 200 years, no one had denied her anything she wanted. Now a human soldier was keeping her from the one person in the galaxy whose thoughts she couldn't read. She turned and left without another word, but inside her mind, dangerous thoughts were growing. That night, Princess Zara stood on her balcony and made a decision that would change everything. She was done with polite requests and cultural exchanges. She was the princess of a vast empire. If she wanted something, she should simply take it. Tomorrow, she would use her royal power to get what she wanted from Jake Morrison. She would offer him things no male had ever been offered before. She would give him wealth, power, even star systems if necessary, and if he still refused her, she would find other ways to make him stay. Princess Zara didn't realize that Lord Commander Thexon had been watching her through the palace's security systems. He had seen her confrontation with the human soldier. He had noticed how her behavior was becoming more desperate and unstable. Thexon sent a message to Emperor Kethvar. The human captain is dangerous. He has done something to the princess's mind. If we don't act soon, he may cause permanent damage to her sanity. The emperor read the message and felt a cold fear in his ancient heart. His daughter was the most important person in his life. If this human was somehow harming her, he would do whatever was necessary to stop it, even if it meant declaring war on humanity. Princess Zara woke up the next morning with a plan. She dressed in her finest royal robes and put on the crown that had been worn by Veltharian queens for 10,000 years. Today, she would not be asking Jake Morrison for his attention. She would be commanding it. She summoned him to the throne room using official palace protocols. When Jake arrived with Dr. Parker and Lieutenant Collins, Princess Zara was sitting on a smaller throne next to her father's empty seat. The room was filled with nobles and courtiers, all watching with curious eyes. "Captain Morrison," she said, in her most formal voice, "I have a proposal for you." Jake bowed respectfully. "I'm listening, Princess." "The Veltharian Empire controls over 300 star systems," she began. "We have technology that could advance your species by thousands of years. We have weapons that could protect Earth from any threat in the galaxy." She stood and walked down from the throne platform until she was standing directly in front of Jake. "I offer all of this to humanity. In exchange, I ask only one thing." "What do you ask?" Jake said carefully. "Stay here. Become my personal advisor on human affairs. Help me understand your people so that our empires can work together." It sounded reasonable, but Dr. Parker's medical equipment was reading Princess Zara's vital signs. Her heart rate was elevated. Her brain chemistry showed the same obsessive patterns he had detected before. This wasn't a diplomatic offer. It was a desperate attempt to keep Jake close to her. "Princess," Jake said gently, "I'm honored by your offer, but I have duties to my own people. I can't abandon my crew or my mission." Princess Zara's face remained calm, but inside she felt like she was falling into darkness. He was rejecting her again. Even when she offered him the wealth of an empire, he still didn't want to stay with her. "Perhaps," she said, her voice becoming slightly strained, "I have not made the full scope of my offer clear." She gestured to Lord Commander Thexon, who brought forward a crystal display showing star maps. "These systems," she said, pointing to dozens of worlds, "could be under human control. Your people could expand across the galaxy under Veltharian protection." Jake looked at the display with interest, but his expression remained professional. "This is very generous, Princess, but Earth's government would need to discuss such arrangements carefully. I don't have the authority to make decisions about entire star systems." Princess Zara felt her carefully maintained control beginning to crack. She had offered him more than any being in the galaxy had ever been offered. Kings and emperors would kill for the smallest part of what she was giving him freely, and he was treating it like a business transaction. "Then what do you want?" she asked, her voice rising slightly. "What would make you stay?" Jake looked confused. "Princess, I don't understand. This is a diplomatic mission. We came here to establish peaceful relations between our species, not to make permanent changes to our lives." Something inside Princess Zara broke. For 200 years, she had been in control of every situation. She could read minds, predict behavior, and manipulate conversations to get what she wanted. But Jake Morrison remained a mystery that she couldn't solve. "Everyone leave," she commanded suddenly. The nobles and courtiers looked surprised, but they began to file out of the room. Lord Commander Thexan hesitated. "Everyone," Princess Zara repeated, her voice carrying the absolute authority of royal blood. Soon only she and the 3 humans remained in the vast throne room. Princess Zara stood in the center of the space, her royal composure finally failing. "Don't understand you," she said, and her voice sounded younger than her 200 years. "Every male who has ever met me has wanted something from me. Power, beauty, status, wealth. I can see their desires in their thoughts before they even speak." She turned to face Jake directly. "But you, I can't read your mind. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you think of me. For the first time in my life, I have to guess what someone is feeling." Jake's expression softened with understanding. "Princess, is that why you've been spending so much time with us? Because you can't read my thoughts?" "Yes," she admitted, and the word came out like a confession. "I've tried everything. I've offered you wealth, power, technology. I've tried to make myself beautiful for you. I've learned your language and your customs, and none of it matters because you don't seem to want anything from me." She moved closer to him, and Jake could see tears forming in her silver eyes. "So I'm asking you directly, without telepathy, without royal commands, without anything except words. What do you want from me?" Jake looked at this powerful princess who was crying in front of him, and he felt genuine compassion. "Princess Zara," he said gently, "I don't want anything from you except friendship between our peoples." "That's not an answer," she said desperately. "Everyone wants something personal. Everyone has desires and fears and dreams. What are yours?" "I want my crew to be safe," Jake said. "I want to complete our mission successfully. I want to go home to Earth and report that we found good people among the stars." Princess Zara stared at him. "That's all." "That's all." She felt something breaking inside her chest. This simple human had wants so different from every other male she had met that she couldn't understand them. His desires were about duty and service, not personal gain. "Then take it," she said suddenly. "Take whatever you need for your mission. Take our technology, our friendship, our protection for your people. Just, please, tell me what I mean to you." Jake was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his words were careful and kind. "Princess, you mean a great deal to me. You're intelligent, curious, and kind. You've shown me wonders I never imagined. But I think you're confusing friendship with something else." "What else?" she whispered. "I think you're attracted to me because I'm the first person you've met whose thoughts you can't control. But that's not love, Princess. That's curiosity and obsession." The words hit Princess Zara like a physical blow. She had never heard anyone speak to her so honestly before. In her world, People were always careful and polite around royalty. You think I don't know the difference between love and obsession? She asked. I think you've never had to learn the difference, Jake said gently. When you can read everyone's mind, you know exactly what they feel about you. You've never had to wonder, never had to hope, never had to risk your heart on uncertainty. Princess Zara felt tears running down her blue cheeks. So what do I do? How do I stop feeling this way? You learn to be comfortable with not knowing, Jake said. You learn that uncertainty can be beautiful. You learn that the best relationships are built on choice, not on reading someone's thoughts. But Princess Zara wasn't listening anymore. The word obsession echoed in her mind. Was that really all she felt for him? Was she just addicted to the mystery of his silent thoughts? She turned away from Jake and walked back toward her throne. When she reached it, she didn't sit down. Instead, she knelt on the floor in front of it. I beg you, she said, her voice broken and desperate. Stay with me. Teach me how to live with uncertainty. I'll give you anything. I'll do anything. Just don't leave me alone with my thoughts again. Jake looked at this proud princess kneeling on the floor of her own throne room, and he realized that Dr. Parker had been right. Her attraction to him wasn't healthy. It was a form of addiction that was destroying her sense of self. But before he could answer, alarms began ringing throughout the palace. Lord Commander Thexan's voice came through the communication system. All humans are under arrest by order of Emperor Kethavar. They are charged with mental manipulation of royal blood. Armed guards burst into the throne room, their weapons aimed at Jake and his crew. Princess Zara looked up from the floor, her face pale with shock. Father, no, she whispered. But it was too late. Jake Morrison and his crew were taken prisoner, and Princess Zara realized that her obsession had just started a war between their peoples. Princess Zara ran through the crystal corridors of her palace, her royal robes trailing behind her. The guards had taken Jake and his crew to the detention center deep underground. She had to reach her father before he did something that would destroy any chance of peace between their peoples. She found Emperor Kethavar in his private chambers, speaking with his military advisors through holographic displays. When she burst through the doors, he looked up with eyes full of ancient fury. "Father, you have to release them," she said breathlessly. "I will do no such thing," the Emperor replied. "That human has poisoned your mind with some kind of mental weapon. Lord Commander Thexan showed me the recordings of your behavior. You knelt before him, Zara. A princess of our empire knelt before an alien." Princess Zara felt shame burning in her chest, but she forced herself to speak. "He didn't force me to do anything. My actions were my own choice." "No," Emperor Kethavar said firmly. "Our people have studied the human prisoners. They have no telepathic abilities, but their leader has some kind of mental shielding that blocks our powers. This is clearly a weapon designed to manipulate telepathic species." "It's not a weapon," Princess Zara protested. "It's just how his mind works." But her father wasn't listening. "I have contacted the Galactic Council. We will present evidence that humanity poses a threat to all telepathic species. The humans will be returned to their people, but their species will be banned from contact with telepathic civilizations." Princess Zara felt cold fear spreading through her body. If the Galactic Council agreed with her father, humanity would be isolated from most of the galaxy. Jake's mission of peace would become a disaster that would hurt his people for generations. "You can't do this," she said. "I can, and I will," Emperor Kethavar replied. "I am your father and your emperor. I will protect you from this mental contamination, even if you cannot protect yourself." He turned back to his military advisors, dismissing her. But Princess Zara didn't leave. She stood in the center of the room and spoke words that shocked everyone present. "If you harm Captain Morrison or his crew, I will renounce my claim to the throne." The room fell silent. Emperor Kethvar turned slowly to face his daughter. "You would not dare." "I would," Princess Zara said, her voice growing stronger. "And I'll do more than that. I'll testify to the Galactic Council that the humans are innocent. I'll tell them that my behavior was caused by my own curiosity, not by any human weapon." "You are not thinking clearly," her father said. "The human has damaged your mind." "No," Princess Zara replied. "He opened my mind. For 200 years, I've lived in a bubble of telepathic certainty. I knew what everyone thought before they spoke. I knew their motivations before they acted. I was never surprised, never challenged, never forced to grow." She walked closer to her father. "Captain Morrison showed me what it means to live with uncertainty, to judge people by their actions instead of their thoughts, to trust without knowing. Father, I think our people have become weak because we rely too much on telepathy." Emperor Kethvar's face showed disbelief. "Our telepathic abilities are our greatest strength." "Are they?" Princess Zara asked. "When was the last time our people created something truly new? When did we last face a real challenge? We've become so comfortable reading each other's minds that we've stopped thinking for ourselves." She turned to address the military advisors as well. "The humans have no telepathy, but look what they've accomplished. They've traveled across the galaxy using only their intelligence and determination. They've built a civilization based on hope instead of certainty. They've learned to work together without being able to read each other's thoughts." "They are primitive," one of the advisors said. "No," Princess Zara replied. "They're different. And that difference could make us stronger if we're brave enough to learn from them." Emperor Kethvar studied his daughter's face. In her silver eyes he saw a determination he had never seen before. She was no longer the sheltered princess who had rejected suitors for 2 centuries. Something had changed in her, and he wasn't sure if it was good or bad. "Even if you are right about the humans," he said carefully, "you have embarrassed our empire. You knelt before an alien in front of our entire court." "Yes, I did," Princess Zara admitted. "I was obsessed with him because I couldn't read his mind. I confused mystery with love. I made mistakes that embarrassed our family and our people." She stood straighter, looking every inch the royal princess she had been born to be. "But I learned from those mistakes. I learned that real strength comes from admitting when you're wrong and choosing to grow from it." Emperor Kethvar was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he dismissed his advisors and spoke to his daughter alone. "What do you want me to do?" he asked. "Release the humans," Princess Zara said. "Let them complete their mission, and consider establishing a cultural exchange program with their people." "And what about you?" her father asked. "What happens to your future?" Princess Zara took a deep breath. "I want to travel with human ambassadors for a while. I want to learn how to live without telepathy, how to build relationships based on choice, instead of mind reading." "You would leave your people?" "I would learn how to better serve my people," she corrected. "Father, what if there are other species out there like the humans, species that could teach us things we never imagined? But we'll never meet them if we stay locked in our telepathic bubble." Emperor Kethvar looked at his daughter and realized she was no longer a child. She was a leader making difficult decisions for the good of her people, even if those decisions came with personal cost. "Very well," he said finally. "I will release the humans. But this cultural exchange you speak of, it must be done carefully. We cannot appear weak to other species." "We won't appear weak," Princess Zara promised. "We'll appear wise enough to learn from others." An hour later, Jake Morrison and his crew were brought to the throne room under guard. They expected to face trial or execution. Instead, they found Princess Zara standing beside her father's throne, looking calm and regal. "Captain Morrison," Emperor Kethavar said formally, "my daughter has convinced me that your presence here was not intended as an attack on our people. You are free to complete your diplomatic mission." Jake looked surprised but relieved. "Thank you, Your Majesty." "However," the Emperor continued, "Princess Zara has requested permission to travel with human ambassadors to learn about your culture. Do you find this acceptable?" Jake looked at Princess Zara. Her silver eyes met his brown ones, but this time he saw something different in them. Instead of desperate obsession, he saw calm determination and genuine curiosity. "Princess," he said carefully, "are you sure this is what you want?" "Yes," she replied, "but not for the reasons you might think. I'm not asking to come with you because I'm obsessed with you, Captain Morrison. I'm asking because I want to learn how to be a better leader for my people." She turned to address the entire court. "I spent 200 years rejecting suitors because I could read their selfish thoughts. But I never learned how to build real relationships based on trust and choice. The humans can teach us this. And," she added, looking back at Jake, "I want to apologize. My behavior toward you was inappropriate and unfair. I confused my curiosity about your mental immunity with romantic feelings. I put you in an uncomfortable position, and I'm sorry." Jake nodded respectfully. "Apology accepted, Princess. And if you truly want to learn about human culture, our ambassadors would be honored to work with you." 3 months later, Princess Zara stood on the observation deck of a human diplomatic ship, watching stars pass by without telepathically sensing the thoughts of everyone around her. It was frightening and exhilarating at the same time. She had learned to communicate using only words and expressions. She had made friends with humans without knowing their thoughts in advance. She had experienced the joy of being surprised by someone's kindness and the disappointment of being let down by someone she trusted. Most importantly, she had learned that uncertainty wasn't a weakness to be feared. It was a strength that allowed for growth, surprise, and genuine connection with others. When she returned to her people a year later, Princess Zara brought with her new ideas about leadership, diplomacy, and relationships. The cultural exchange program she established became a model for the entire galaxy, and though she never married Captain Jake Morrison, she often thought of him as the person who taught her the most valuable lesson of her long life, that the most beautiful things in the universe were often the ones you couldn't predict or control. The humans, for their part, gained not just an ally, but a friend. And throughout the galaxy, other species began to whisper about the strange, telepathy-resistant humans who had somehow convinced the proudest princess in the stars to kneel before them, not in defeat, but in the recognition that there was always more to learn about the universe and themselves.